All right, my name is Hellem. I'm a MFA alum 2004. In my association with the Massachusetts Review, I started off as an intern and then worked my way up the Massachusetts Review bureaucracy and became an editorial assistant. And then another year later, the managing editor. I was the managing editor for a couple of years. I appreciate having an audience, too, because this would have been really weird if it was just me and the camera. So thank you all for sticking around. I'm going to read an excerpt from a novel I wrote called Ring the Bell Backwards. A mile down the road, Hero came upon a large lay of land, the house missing shingles sunk in lower on one end, a barn buckled on top with the large swing doors swung open, flanked on either side with stacked bales of hay. Two old men, cruddy and coverall, ran around each other like chickens, reeled in circles, the one shrieking and the other sputtering hysterics. The one's straps hung loose on bony shoulders, while the other's dangled down near his knees, the bib folded down below his bare belly dimpled like cheese curd. Shoeless, their feet padded in the dust, and the dust clouded about them. They were trying to say something, but their shrieks garbled the words and rendered them pig squeals. The bare-chested one held a hoe pressed to his tits, but wouldn't move. Wouldn't do whatever it was the other begged him to do. The one old man slapped at the one holding the hoe. The one holding the hoe gripped it tighter and clung it closer to his chest. The other danced around him, his hands shaking, one-footed at times, clucking and crying. When they saw Hero at the fence, they pointed at the hay bales and jabbered. The one's teeth come loose in his mouth and the other with no teeth at all. They pointed, and the one wore circles around the other, and the other, when he caught his breath, said the snake went behind the hay bales, where it went after it swallowed the dog. That it came out from under the porch, and the dog danced around it, yapping, and the snake, fast as that, lit out and bit him on the neck, and Peachy, the dog, yelped and started shaking all over. That's when the snake wrapped him up good and tight in a bear hug, one old man said. A snake hug, honey, the other one said. That's right. They came closer, and Hero could see their grizzled faces were cruddy all over, thick in places where it looked as though their skin had melted and hardened. Poor Peachy, the one old man said. Never had no chance, the other said. They looked ready to cry. He was just excitable is all, the first old man said. He's in a better place. Inside the snake? In heaven, honey. Heaven, the first old man said, slower, like it was the first time he'd ever heard it. The other waved Hero inside the fence, and Hero hesitated, stepped inside, and the old man stepped to meet him. The other old man, shaking his head, said Peachy didn't mean no harm by it. He wasn't going to hurt that snake one bit. He was just curious is all. The other old man looked around and even up the road, then leaned in and put his cruddy-smelling arm around Hero's shoulder. The side of him stank like the darker parts of buried trash. The thing is, the snake's a endangered species, he said. It means the snake's protected. If we go having our revenge on him like God would want, they're going to make us pay for it. The old man with the hoe stepped closer to Hero and licked his lips. Hero had a feeling it was too late to back out of whatever it was they were asking him. We know how to get rid of it, the one old man said. We know how to get rid of it, the one with the hoe said, and winked his cruddy eye at Hero. I was just passing through, Hero told them. The one with the hoe offered it for Hero to take. I was just passing through. The old man pushed it against Hero's chest so he'd have to take it. There ain't no other way, he said. The other one leaned his head closer and whispered, You gotta do it for Peachy. All you gotta do is sneak up back there and stick him with the hoe, the one said. He ain't gonna be able to move all that fast, not with Peachy still in him. You just ease up on him and stick him in the head. The other one took Hero's elbow and led him closer to the bales and pushed him toward them. The hoe handle was splintered. The head rusted. It was, for some reason, incredibly heavy. Go get him, honey, the one old man said. Hero tiptoed to the hay bales, watched the shadows for movement suspect, for shape veritable, for a head to hoe. Sounds scraped the hay. Hero held the hoe out in front of him like a spear. The snake probably smelled his footsteps, though they were light, they were tremulous. Something slid through one of the bales underneath. He lunged with the hoe and hunked the bale. The movement slithered behind another bale, through it, and then out into the light. The head half in sunshine, and the other half stuck in the bale. It tried to wriggle free. Its tongue flicked and flashed at the two old men. The first old man cried out, There he is, honey! And the other hid his face behind his cruddy hands, his feet stepping in place. Hoo-wee! The first one shouted, Get him, honey! Hero lifted the head above his own and drove the blade down through the snake's neck, and the head popped off smooth as a dandelion's. The body wriggled fiercely. Thin black blood dribbled out the neck hole. Hero dropped the hoe and jumped back. The body thrashed like a hanged man's, legs dancing as they dangled. "You got him, honey," the old man cried. He grabbed the snake's body just below the neck. He tugged it loose from the hay bale and held it up. The long body, striped red and white, shined in the sun like it was wet. The black blood ran down the old man's hand. "Look at that, honey," he shouted. He poked Hero in the side and Hero jumped again. "It's all over, honey," the old man said. The snake's body stretched from the old man's neck to the ground. The bulge where Peachy was weighed the tail part down. "Get over here and help me, honey," the old man shouted to the other old man. "Is it dead?" the other old man asked. "Dead as a crow." The other old man squealed, but he held out part of the snake like the other old man told him to. Squeezed hard to keep the blood from coming out. He squinted his eyes and turned his face away. "I don't want to watch, honey," he said. The other old man reached into a back pocket for a knife. He popped the blade open and sank the blade into the snake's belly and sliced the length of it. Skin and meat parted and spilled out, guts balled up in tangles in the dirt. The terrier, too, slid out onto the ground, slick as a newborn baby. It crumpled rather than cried, folded in angles, not alive. The old man holding the snake wept. "Poor Peachy," he cried. The dog's eyes still open but entirely black. The old man with the knife bent down and scooped the dog's body in his hands and carried it into the barn. "Poor Peachy," the other one said. "Don't worry, honey," the other said. "We'll get through it. I'll clean Peachy up real good for the burial. We'll put her in a dress and sing." "Poor Peachy," the other one cried, his free hand over his eyes and the other still holding the snake. The other pulled the meat and skin apart at the tail and ripped the two apart at the length of the snake's body. Drops of the black blood sprayed in the dust and the dirt on their heads. Hero went weak in his legs. The thick meat of the snake, no longer a snake, turned his stomach in on itself, into knots. The stench of something rotted, unearthed. The old man flung the meat over his shoulder. He gathered up the guts and carried those into the barn. The other old man wiped his hands on his coveralls. He saw Hero backing toward the road. "Remember, honey, this is our secret," he said. But Hero's legs wouldn't work. He didn't even feel the gravel pebbles in his knees when he went down. The old man cried out for the other, "I think he's dying, honey." Hero felt their steps to the ground coming for him. The head of the snake stared at him, its mouth partly open, its sharp little teeth delicate as a doll's silverware. The road was in front of him, but he couldn't get to it. The old men's cruddy hands held him and helped him to his back. He couldn't move, and then he couldn't see, blinded by a big stretch of bright blue. His insides wanted out, and his outsides needed wind. "Hold tight, honey," one of them old men said, but it was far away and fading more. Thank you.